Hello students, in this session I will be covering Master of Commerce, Annamalai University, first year subject Modern Marketing. In this session I will be covering lesson 5 to 8, that is unit 2. Lesson 5, Marketing Strategies. Okay, marketing strategy has a set of objectives, policies and rules that guide over time a firm's marketing efforts. So marketing strategies are those things which helps an organization's marketing efforts. Okay, how the efforts of marketing the firm's products or services to reach the customer's mind or customer's hand is done through marketing strategies. Okay, it's actually the management gives shape or idea to build a proper marketing strategy. Okay, and there are three major types of intensive growth opportunities, like market penetration into the market area, market development for the product development for the market, etc. Okay, now first thing is setting company's objective. A company cannot go after all of its opportunities first. So at first, when a company launches into the market, it cannot address all the opportunities available for the company in the market. You can go one step at a time to go for a small portion of the market and then grow to the next level. So this is only possible for a company which has launched a new product into the market. Slowly it can hit the market size. Okay, market size available to the company, organization or the product. Okay, so for that purpose a good marketing strategy is required by the firm to compete and complete the market size or market available or market opportunity, or address the market opportunity available. First is the market entry strategy. The company has to enter the market and has to strategize how they can enter the strategy, enter the product, with their product or services. And there should have a marketing mix strategy. Then next element, the marketing strategy is for the company to determine how it will profit its offering to the particular market segment. So for a particular market segment is nothing but where the product of the company or services of the company are addressing, which type of customer it is addressing, okay, or intended to address. And it has to time the strategy. Time the strategy means it has to time it well and introduce it in a proper way into the market. Now confrontation strategy. Confrontation strategy is nothing but aggressive or offensive in nature, and it has to take head on the competition in the market. Okay, there could be some competitions available for the products of an organization in the market. So it has an aggressive area, confront the competitions in the market. Also defensive strategy takes a defensive position and possible direct confrontation with the other competitors is not possible, so that it takes a defensive strategy. Niche strategy. In this case, the firm neither confronts nor defends. It cultivates a small market segment for itself. It's a niche strategy. That means that it's a specialized area which the organization creates for his own purpose. Demarketing strategy. Firm demarket its product. So when it demarks the product through a conscious manipulation and suppression of demand, and when demand is created, the they can launch their product once again. Remarketing strategy. Through this strategy, a product with losing demand is brought back and remarket in the market. Okay. These are the things covered in lesson 5. Now to lesson 6, market segmentation, market targeting and product positioning. The market is divided into different areas, that is called market segmentation. Market segmentation consists of taking the total heterogeneous market for a product and dividing it into several sub-markets or segments, each of which tends to be homogeneous in all significant aspects. So selecting the full market into dividing the segmenting the market into different sub-markets is known as market segmentation for easy launching of the product. This is done for the easy launching of the product in a particular sub-market, then establishing it and then expanding to other sub-markets and catering to the total market area. Benefits of segmentation. The manufacturer is in a better position to find out and compare the marketing potentialities of his product. Okay, the manufacturer or the producer has to ascertain how good is their product compared to what is available in the market. Okay, with respect to the competition available. The result obtained for market segmentation is an indicator to adjust the production using men, materials and other resources in a most profitable manner. Changes required may be studied and implemented without losing markets. Okay, whatever changes to their product or the marketing strategy has been studied and make changes, relevant changes as required depending on the market requirements. Also, there can be situations where there should be some improvement required for an organization's product when compared to the competitions available. So this segmentation will also help in that. It helps in determining the kinds of promotional devices that are effective and also their results. Okay, promotion areas also needs to be ascertained. Appropriate timing for the introduction of new products, advertising, etc. could be easily determined. So when new products are likely to introduce in the market from an organization, it has to be timed well in a good way so that it catches the interest of the prospective customers through advertisement, etc. Okay, today is the this century is the what do you call area of social marketing or digital marketing. So through social media and digital, using the internet possibility, products are getting introduced, advertised, etc. to catch the customers' attention. Okay, steps involved in segmentation process. What are the steps? There are 7 steps. Assessing the difference between one customer group and other. So in different segment market sub-markets, there will be different types of customer groups. So compare which one is required for our product, which customer segment in which we have to customer group in which we have to address. Finding out the factors or characteristics on the basis of which consumers can be appointed to a specific segment. Based on the above steps, disaggregating the customers into suitable segments. The customers has to be segregated to different segments and place our product in the necessary area. Analyzing and establishing whether it is possible to formulate separate marketing programs and marketing mixes for the different segments. Once the segments have been understood or ascertained, the product can be made available through various advertisements or promotion campaigns or marketing programs, and other things are available. Okay, market targeting, to target a particular market, a segment of the market through whether it's customers age and other details can be segmented. Then product has to be positioned in a particular segment, market segment or market sub-market, markets sub-markets available, and slowly the organization has to take the growth strategy to the next level once one market has been captured. And there are different target market strategies: undifferentiated marketing, differentiated marketing, concentrated marketing. Undifferentiated marketing is, in undifferentiated marketing, the firm chooses not to recognize the different market segments making up the market. It treats the market as an aggregate. It's a full one, focusing on what is common in the needs of people rather than on what is different. There is no difference in the market available. All markets will be addressed on a total basis. Differentiated marketing means, under differentiated marketing, a firm decides to operate in two or more market segments only of the market, but designs separate product and or marketing programs for each. Okay. Concentrated marketing. Both differentiated marketing and undifferentiated marketing imply that the firm goes after the whole market. However, many firms see a third possibility, like one that is especially appealing when the company's resources are limited. So they concentrate only in one or few markets available, because due to the unavailability of large resources, especially financial resources of the organization. Then product positioning. The significance of product positioning can be easily understood from David Ogilvy's assertion: the results of your campaign depend less on how we write your advertising than on how your product is positioned. Okay. These are the things covered in lesson 6. Now to lesson 7, buyer or consumer behavior. Okay, how the consumer, the final person or individual or any organization who consumes your product, buys your product, the market segment or the customer who buys your product and consumes it. Buyer is a riddle. Riddle means it's a thing which you have to fill up. Okay, find out. He is not a simple entity. His needs vary from security needs to self-actualization needs. Security to self-actualization is a Maslow's principle, need for hierarchy principle. Okay, need for growth. Okay, needs. He satisfies his needs by his means. When his needs are costlier, he postpones them. So depends on the customer, the individual, and his needs. The markets, the buyer varies. The buyers in the market varies. Okay. With the revolution in the field of communication, the buyer is exposed to a great deal of information, like social marketing, as I said earlier, and digital marketing concepts. The information is readily available to the customer for each and every product. So he starts comparing the competition's product with the organization's product. So naturally he can be confused or informed depending on his social status or education status, etc. When the buyer takes a buying decision, there is no rigid rule to bind him. His decision may either be spontaneous on the spot or he made after a thorough analysis. Okay, that's what I said. He can be confusing or it can be a good decision, because each and every communication is possible or are available to him through various advertising and other possibilities. And there are buyer theories available, okay, depending on the status of the buyer or consumer. And there should be some buying motive available. A consumer buys a particular product because he is influenced by certain motives. Unless and until he has a strong motive, he does not buy a particular product of a organization. Motive is a strong feeling, urge, instinct, desire or emotion that makes the buyer to react in the form of a decision to buy. Example, iPhone 12. Okay, it has been launched, and within minutes 1.5 lakhs phones have been bought by India. Within India, sold within India within minutes of launching. So the buyer has a strong motive, a strong feeling, a strong urge to buy Apple iPhones, iPhone 12, okay, which have been launched recently, 29th October or so. Okay, it's an example for buying motive, like other products also. This is just an example which I can quote. Factors influencing buyer behavior. One is advertisement, any form. Earlier it was only radio and newspaper. Now then later came the television. Nowadays we have the internet, social media, digital marketing, all those things are there. Samples and trials, giving samples to prospective customers, consumers in a mall or in shopping complex, etc. or even wayside. Display in shops, products can be displayed in shops. Salesman suggestion, salesmen can suggest. When you go to a electronics store or a appliances store, we used to buy, we are thinking of buying a LG's product, but the salesman will suggest Samsung's product, because it's a Samsung suggestion. He says that Samsung service is good, product is good, etc. So finally we end up buying a Samsung's product instead of a LG product, and it's because of the fact that salesman is suggesting, because he knows better about the service aspect of the quality of the product. Okay, so these are some possibilities available. So here ends the lesson 7. Now we move to lesson 8, sales forecasting. What do you mean by forecasting? Forecasting is nothing but seeing the future, predicting the future. How sales forecast is nothing but estimating. It's not actual, it is just an estimate of the future possibility of sales that can be made, or the amount or unit or the number of sales that can be achieved, that could be achieved, or possibility is there. Okay, a sales forecast is an estimate of the amount or unit sales for a specified future period under a proposed marketing plan or program. So possibility of selling a fixed possible number of items, not fixed, during a future period. It's called as a sales forecast or simply forecasting. Forecasting is done usually to have an idea to how much possible the organization can achieve on a particular product, sales of a particular product or service, and accordingly marketing programs can be planned and executed. Now, uses of sales forecast. It enables the company concerned to meet the growing needs by balancing supply and demand. Okay, so supply should be equal to demand for a product of the company. It is useful for measuring the efficiency of sales department. How much sales the sales department has done, how efficient they are in selling the products, etc. can be measured. Reliable sales forecasting is a first-rate aid to proper pricing of the product. It aids in reallocation of sales territories, allocation of sales territories to sales departments or offices can be done, okay, using forecasting, and other details are available. Okay. Period of sales forecast. As far as time frame is concerned, basically there are 3 types of sales forecast: the short range, the long range, and perspective planning forecast. Short range forecast helps in short range business planning. Such forecasts are usually made for a period of 1 year. That means monthly, quarterly, half yearly, annually. So for 1 year period, the short range forecasts are done. Long range forecast on the other side is done for more than an year, extended period, more than a year, when sales forecasting or long range forecasting is done. Perspective planning of this kind serves as a guide to the planning and implementation process overall, a really long ranging period, more than 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, etc. Okay, it's called as perspective forecasting. Perspective planning forecast. Okay. There are various methods for sales forecasting available. Okay. Like jury method, sales forecast composite method, survey of expert opinion method, not expert opinion method, users expectation method, market share method, symbol projection method, extrapolation method, moving averages method, exponential smoothing, time series analysis, regression analysis, econometric methods, market survey method, etc. So these could be as questions, could be asked as questions in the for the examinations. What are the sales forecasting method? What do you mean by sales forecast or forecasting? And what are the different methods available? And what are the limitations of sales forecast? It is subject to certain limitations. As I said, it's just an estimate, but not an exact figure is arrived through sales forecasting. It can be more, it could be more. The actual sales at the end of the period could be more than the estimated or less than the estimated. So it's a yardstick. Sales forecasting is just an yardstick through which the planning of the activities can be done by the organization. Okay, thus it ends the unit 2, lesson 8 of modern marketing, MCOM first year, Annamalai University. See you in unit 3, lessons 9 to 12. Thank you.